from unearned income. So that could be investment income, or that could be from alimony, for example, for unearned income. So government benefits are really important to people's well-being and general quality of life. But unfortunately, they're based on often based on 1975 data and information, and they barely get people to the federal poverty level. So, as important as it is to get and keep those government benefits, they're probably still not going to be enough to really have a full and enjoyable life. So on the left-hand side of this, you'll see need-based. So the government's going to be looking at the income of the beneficiary. And for people over the age of 18, which is the majority of the people here today, they're only looking at the beneficiary's income. They're not going to be looking at the parent's income, even if the beneficiary lives at home. If they're a minor under the age of 18, the government will use parent income and resources as well. So on the left-hand side, those need-based benefits, we see supplemental security income, SSI. And so SSI is different than Social Security retirement. SSI, as we'll learn about in a minute, is really designed for people who, for different reasons, weren't able to work that many quarters and were not able to earn very much money in their own name. And then also we have Medi-Cal. That is the state of California's Medicaid program. So I know there's a lot of M's running around: Medicaid, Medi-Cal, Medicare, but they all mean different things, so it's important to understand the difference. So the federal insurance program, the federal health insurance program for low-income people is called Medicaid. And in California, we add some additional state money to the federal money, so we call it Medi-Cal. If you move to a different state, it's going to have a different name. Well, like in Wisconsin, it's called Badger Care, because they're the Badgers, but we call it Medi-Cal. And then on the right-hand side, those are government benefits that it doesn't matter how much money you have. You could be super duper rich, you could be Jeff Bezos, and if you got disabled while working, you would still be entitled to SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. And when everybody turns 65, if they're a citizen, they are entitled to Medicare health insurance. So that does not depend on your income. Now, many people with disabilities throughout the course of their lives can end up with all four of these benefits, even at the same time. So one of the most important benefits that you need to know about is something called disabled adult child. It's also known as childhood disabled beneficiary. It's a federal program from the Social Security Administration. And what it is they're looking at the parent's earnings. So a parent had to have worked for the required number of quarters, and then the parent has to retire and start receiving their own monthly Social Security retirement check. If they have a child over the age of 18 who was diagnosed with a disability before the age of 22, that adult child can receive benefits through this program. So let's give an example with some numbers to make it a little easier. So if the parent retires and the parent is getting $1,200 a month, that disabled adult child, who let's say is 25, and got disabled at the age of, or got a disabled diagnosis at the age of 5, that adult child will receive $600. The parent keeps getting $1,200, and the adult child gets $600. And then many years, when the parent passes away, that adult child can get 75% of the parent's Social Security retirement. So in this example with the $1,200, that adult child could receive $900 a month. A lot of parents want to know, can you collect from both parents? No, you can only collect from the earnings record of one parent. So in most cases, that's going to be the dad, but that's not always the case. And so whoever earned more when they were working and contributing to the Social Security system, that's the parent's earnings record that you should use. Okay, what is Supplemental Security Income, SSI? So this is that monthly cash benefit for people who were never able to establish much of a work record. You could either be over the age of 65 or you could be blind and disabled of any age. So the problem with SSI, you're only allowed to have $2,000 at any one time in resources. And resources are anything that could be turned into cash that you hold for more than 1 month. So that could be money in a checking account, money in a savings account, could be stocks or bonds, anything that could be easily turned into cash. So the good news about SSI is that you only need to be earning even just $1 of it, and then you get that automatic linkage to Medi-Cal. And that automatic linkage gives you the best type of Medi-Cal without any share of cost and without having to pay any premiums. So what is not counted for SSI? So you're allowed to have the house that you live in. You can rent out part of the house, but you have to have that as your primary residence for the majority of the year. You're allowed to have one car in your own name, a life insurance policy with that face value, burial plots, and household goods and personal effects. And again, you're not allowed to have more than $2,000 in cash or stocks, bonds, savings account, checking account, savings bonds, anything that could be easily converted into cash. So then the question is, there's also limits on how much income you can earn. So you can see here that the government has a big difference between unearned income. So that's like a gift or a cash that you get from annuities, pensions, alimony, investment income. So those are pretty severely penalized by SSI. So it reduces any unearned income reduces your monthly benefits dollar for dollar after the first $20. Earned income from any kind of paid work gets a preferred treatment. So you're reduced $1 for every $2 earned. So that's why the Social Security Administration says if you're on SSI and you work, you'll always come out ahead. So there's a myth that you cannot work if you're receiving SSI. You can work. If you start earning more money, you might want to look at a CalABLE account. And if you're really receiving a very high salary, you will lose your SSI. But at that point, you should be able to make a living for yourself. So SSI has this really antiquated, and many of us think of it as a stupid, for lack of a better term, stupid rule called In-Kind Services and Maintenance, ISM. So the federal government says, hey, if anybody else is helping you, this is the disabled individual. If anyone else is helping a disabled individual with their food or rent or basic utilities, they don't need so much money from the federal government. So we're going to reduce that monthly SSI check by 1/3 of the federal share, plus $20. So in 2024, that's $331. So the good news is food is no longer going to be considered in-kind services and maintenance. So other people can pay for a disabled person's food. You can also use your special needs trust to pay for food at a restaurant or at a grocery store without any penalties. So this is a really big, significant change, and that's going to happen October 1st, 2024. And you can see the other categories. So what is Medi-Cal? So remember, that is the California Medicaid health insurance program for low-income individuals. It obviously it pays for medical care, but it pays for a lot of other things, including in-home care under the IHSS program. It pays for long-term care in a nursing home. Medi-Cal is the only public health insurance program that pays for long-term care. Medicare does not pay for long-term care. Medicare will pay for 100 days after a hospitalization. But if you need more than 100 days, that is not covered by Medicare. Medi-Cal also covers things like medical equipment that's going to be used over and over again, like wheelchairs or an insulin pump. It pays for any prescription medication that's on the formulary, end of life. So Medi-Cal is super important for people with disabilities to get and to keep. And there's different types of Medi-Cal that have different shares of cost and different copays. As I said, the best kind of Medi-Cal is that SSI linked Medi-Cal. But if you don't qualify for that, if you don't get SSI, there are many other ways to be eligible for Medi-Cal. And you can have both Medi-Cal and Medicare. Medi-Cal is going to be secondary in that situation. You can also have private health insurance from your employer or from a spouse's or a parent's employer. Medi-Cal, again, is always going to be secondary. Medi-Cal has the lowest provider reimbursement rate. So Medi-Cal is always secondary. So there's also good news in the Medi-Cal program. Medi-Cal used to have that same $2,000 asset limit that I just talked about with SSI. But as of January 1st of this year, that asset limit is gone. So you can have a lot of money in the bank and still get Medi-Cal, but they're going to be looking at your income. So if you have a lot of money in the bank and you're getting a lot of investment income from that, it's going to be difficult to get and keep Medi-Cal. So you can see what the limits are in terms of monthly income, and that's current for 2024. And then many people with disabilities and many older people find that they really need some help in the house so they can stay at home and not have to go to a nursing home. So in California, that program is called In-Home Supportive Services, IHSS. You have to be eligible for Medi-Cal first in order to apply for IHSS. It's run through the county departments of social service. So each county runs the program slightly different, but they all follow the same guidelines. And in LA County, there's now an hourly rate of $17.50 an hour, and that is supposed to be increased a little bit in the next 6 months. The County Department of Social Services decides how many hours are given, and it's based on what's called ADL, Activities of Daily Living. And these are pretty basic kinds of skills. So it's things like, can the person get out of bed? Can they go to the toilet by themselves? Can they brush their own teeth? Can they get dressed? Can they make themselves a meal? Can they take care of their own medication management? So those are the kind of things that the county worker comes out to the home and does an evaluation. And based on that evaluation, each beneficiary gets a different number of hours. The maximum is 283 hours a month, and that includes protective supervision, meaning that the person might be a danger to themselves and others if left alone. The good news about IHSS is family members can be paid care providers. So that really helps to keep a lot of people at home with their loved ones. So this chart shows how public benefits can kind of change over the lifetime of a child with disabilities. So you see there's some differences that happen once the child becomes an independent adult, at least in the eyes of the law, and then what happens when the parent retires and when the parent passes away. So we do have a lot of people in their 20s and 30s who are getting both Medi-Cal and Medicare based on their parents' earnings. Anyone who gets SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, for 24 consecutive months is entitled to Medicare, even if they are under the age of 65. So if you have both Medicare and Medi-Cal, typically Medi-Cal is covering your Medicare monthly premiums, at least for some of it. So that's a big help. Okay, I'm going to pause and see if there's some questions. Hi, Mindy. Nice to see you. Hi. Has anyone typed in any questions?
So far, no.
Oh, actually, I do see. I got 2 direct messages.
I have questions.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me answer. So MJ, thank you for your questions. They were sent to me direct message. Do these income and asset limits apply to SSDI? So there is income. Yes, there are income limits with SSDI, but there are not asset limits with SSDI. And for CDB benefits, is there a household limit? Yes, there's an overall household limit. I think it's 150% of the primary person. So if whatever the primary person is receiving, it's limited to 150% of that for the household. So Jay Smith at Sinai Kiva, you have a question.
I know I can't put it in the chat. And I forgot what my questions are, but they kept coming up. I'm so sorry. I didn't get to write them down. I was listening. My son, I'm retired. Well, I'm not retired yet. I'm working 1 more year, but I have been receiving Social Security. I'm 70. I'm going to be 71 next week.
Okay.
What is my son entitled to as far as Social Security? 50% or nothing yet?
Nothing yet. You have to start actually getting monthly checks.
I have started getting monthly checks for my retirement.
No, from Social Security.
Well,
are you getting them checks from a private retirement fund or from Social Security?
Social Security.
Okay, so then you need to apply for that adult disabled child benefit.
Adult disabled child benefits. Okay. Now
there's a little box. You probably didn't see it or you didn't think applied to you when you first applied for your Social Security retirement. So unfortunately, you'll have to go online to My Social Security and see if you can apply online. You might have to call, unfortunately.
Okay, or I'll go down. I'll just take care of it. I wanted to know. So there's me and my son's father just died.
I'm sorry.
We're both 71. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
So that he still collects 50%, not 75%?
He would receive 75% of his deceased father's Social Security. But
Okay.
again, it's not an automatic thing. You'll have to apply.
Okay. All right. So I think I have to get the death certificate. Okay. You said, okay, IHSS, my son got ill. He developed, and he was on, IV and he got a blood clot. And then because he had to take Eliquis, everybody dropped him his group home. His, I don't know why I can't write in this thing. I have this group chat meeting thing here and it won't let me write in it. Does it say Joy Smith? Maybe that's why. And I wanted to know, what I want to know. He's
All right.
going to apply for IHSS because I've gotten him an apartment. And, you know, now it needs to be funded. The IHSS is going to pay for his caregivers.
Okay.
They're only going to pay $15.50 an hour for the caregiver. The caregivers make 16 and the company charges more than that. That's how much they get paid.
Well, we'll have to talk. I think you're mixing up ILS that you get from the regional center with IHSS. So sometimes those people are paid differently per hour. So is he regional center?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So I think it sounds like those workers might be regional center and not IHSS.
Well, they're contracted through Regional Center.
I understand that. Yeah,
But I think Regional Center will only do it for a while and then you have to apply for IHSS. That's what they told me.
yes.
So, but you were saying IHSS only pays $15.50 an hour.
No. It's up to $17.50 in LA County, and it's going up to $18 pretty soon.
But what I'm saying is the company itself charges more. The worker gets 16 an hour.
I understand. Well, it's a little more complicated than I can get into now. So, Jay, what's your first name? I'm sorry.
Joy.
So, Joy, so I just posted my email. We'll have to talk one-on-one later, or email later, okay?
Okay.
All right. Is a transfer from a special needs trust to a CalABLE account considered a gift for unearned income? No, it is not. That's a rough question. Okay, I'm going to jump back into the presentation. And please, if you can, type in the chat. And please type into the full meeting group chat, not just directly to me, okay? All right, I'm going to jump back in. Give me a sec. All right, here we were. Sometimes when I do this, I get a little bit of a hesitation. It's very frustrating. Okay, we just talked about IHSS, public eligibility. All right, so people who get SSI and IHSS can also get CalFresh, which is what California calls the food stamp program. The income requirement's a little higher, which is nice. So it's 200% of the federal poverty level. It's really important to know if a disabled adult child over the age of 18 is living at home, you can't apply for CalFresh benefits for that adult child until that adult child is over the age of 22. So it's pretty easy to apply. You can apply online and you get a little EBT, looks like kind of a credit card, and the state of California just loads your monthly amount onto that card. Okay, so that was kind of all preliminary, all these various benefits with their different requirements. So if you're someone with a disability or you're a family member or professional trying to make sure that that beneficiary keeps all the benefits, how can we do that? So one of the best ways is to use something called a legal instrument called a special needs trust. And special needs trust is different. You might have heard about living trust or revocable trust. Special needs trust is its own special animal in trust world. And it's designed specifically for a person with a disability, a lifelong disability, not a temporary issue, so that they can apply for and keep all their government benefits. So there are some rules that we need to be aware of. Any money put into a special needs trust has to be used primarily for the benefit of the beneficiary. So once money is put into a special needs trust for Joe, even if, God forbid, Joe's grandmother gets cancer, you cannot pull the money out of Joe's special needs trust and pay for grandma's cancer treatment. As important and as laudable as that would be, that is just not allowed. It also has to be something called irrevocable, meaning cannot be broken. And so once money is in the trust, it generally stays there until the person with the disability passes away. But the good news is these special needs trusts, SNTs, they let the beneficiary get all these benefits of these government programs, and they can also ask for money from their trustee for money in the trust, and they can also get investment income from the money that's held in the trust. And by the way, this is also true for Section 8. I didn't really cover Section 8, but special needs trusts also can be very helpful for anyone with a Section 8 voucher. So there's two major types of special needs trusts, something called first party, assets that belong to the beneficiary, that goes directly to the beneficiary's name and social security number. So the drawback with the first party is that the state of California, or any state you're living in, their Medicaid office is going to come calling after the beneficiary passes away, and the state is going to say, we paid for all kinds of health benefits and prescription medicine, and so we would like to be paid back now. With the way to avoid that is to have something called a third party special needs trust, and that is money coming from a parent or a grandparent. We actually just had a client who got set up with a GoFundMe. So the money coming into the GoFundMe is going to go right into a third-party special needs trust. So that avoids the Medi-Cal payback after the beneficiary's passing. So the best practice in the field is to have a licensed professional fiduciary. Sometimes they call it a corporate fiduciary. So what that means is somebody who is entrusted to take care of your money. And if you mess up, if that person messes up, they could be fined, they could even be put into jail. So the best practice is to use a professional trustee or a professional fiduciary that's at a bank or a law firm or a commercial trust company. However, those professional trustees typically require $1 million in liquid assets before they will agree to provide their services. So what most middle-class families do is they'll name a family member to be the trustee. And some family members do a great job, and they could be a very good trustee for the person with a disability. However, other family trustees could find this trusteeship to be a big burden. There's legal issues, tax issues, understanding all these government benefits that I just talked about, and those benefits are changing all the time. Plus, let's say if a sibling is named to be the trustee, the person with a disability may end up calling or texting the family trustee quite often and asking for money or doing things that the sibling finds annoying. So, as I said, the best practice is to hire a professional trustee. So, how does a middle-class family afford or obtain a professional trustee? So the answer is with something called a pool trust. Those were created by Congress back in 1993. And what Congress said is, we're going to create these pool trusts. They're all going to have a master trust written by an attorney, and then everyone can sign a simple agreement called a joinder agreement, and that will save money on the establishment and the setup fees. And the way it works is everybody has a separate sub-account under the master trust, and then the money is only pooled for investment purposes and also cash management purposes. So why would you want to consider a pool trust? We talked about that it might have lower fees than going with a private attorney. So if you want to set up a private special needs trust, most trust and estate attorneys are going to charge anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 for that. Our setup fee for an active account is $1,300. For an inactive account, our setup fee is $600. So you can see that's saving a lot of money in those setup fees. The other thing about a pool trust, we definitely have a lower minimum amount. Our active accounts have a minimum amount of $20,000 as opposed to $1 million. And then they can also be created by someone over the age of 65. So that's kind of a separate subtopic. I don't think we have that many people over 65. So those people I'm happy to talk to privately about why someone over 65 needs to use a pooled special needs trust. And really important, that pooled special needs trust definitely can minimize the conflicts of interest from family members or their spouses. So we are JLA, Special Needs Trust. We generally go by just JLA Trust, keep it easy. We offer first-party special needs trust, third-party, and we have this future-funded option, which is basically an inactive account. You're just setting up the empty vessel of the special needs trust, and then at some later date, liquid assets will be poured into that special needs trust. So once the money's in the trust, what can you use it for? And the answer is it's quite broad. Pretty much anything that's legal and will improve the wellness and optimize independence and quality of life for the beneficiary. Remember, it all has to be, it's all about the beneficiary, not their mom, not their dad, not their sibling. It's all about the beneficiary. So these are some of the typical expenses that our clients are using. Almost everybody is paying for a cell phone and some internet using their special needs trust money. Quite often people are buying clothes. Medical and dental expenses that aren't covered. A lot of our clients come to us in their 40s and 50s, and they have not had good dental care because they've been on Medi-Cal and Dental-Cal, and they often could be thousands of dollars of dental work in order to have good oral hygiene. We could certainly, on the more fun side, a special needs trust can pay for trips. A special needs trust can pay for in-home help to supplement those IHSS hours. So to answer Joy's question, you know, if there's not enough hours that are coming from either the regional center with ILS or through IHSS, you could supplement those hours with special needs trust. And you could buy a car. You could even buy a house, a condo, or a mobile home, but it has to be the primary place of residence for the beneficiary. It cannot be a property that's only used for rental purposes. So we have a partnership with this great company called TrueLink Financial, based in San Francisco. They are our investment managers. All of our beneficiaries' monies, and right now it's over $11 million in total pooled assets. All of that $11 million is kept in accounts at Charles Schwab. and the good folks at TrueLink are overseeing the investments. And then TrueLink also has pioneered the use of a restricted use debit card. And that card gives beneficiaries a lot of freedom, but at the same time, it gives us as trustees a lot of oversight of the funds. So I'll turn briefly to CalABLE. So before the National ABLE Act, as we talked about, you were limited to only having $2,000 at any one time. With these ABLE accounts, you can save up to whatever the IRS gift tax exemption is in that calendar year. In 2024, that amount is $18,000. So you can put up to $18,000 over a period of years, and you could go all the way up to $100,000. Also, if someone is earning money, someone with a disability is earning money, you can put that earned income into the CalABLE, and you can go up to, I think it's about $40,000 a year. That number also changes. So here's the basics about CalABLE. Unfortunately, the disabling condition must have been diagnosed before the person turned 26. And as you can see, that's going to be increased to age 46 in 2 years. The ABLE accounts are based on the 529 college savings account, but there's some differences. So you can have more than one 529 college savings accounts, but you can only have one ABLE account per social security number. And the beneficiary is always the account owner. So a parent could open the account or any authorized legal representative listed here. So again, you have a wide range of things that you can spend the money on. In this program, they call them qualified disability expenses. So it could certainly be for post-secondary education. It could be for housing, and there's some advantages to using ABLE accounts to pay for housing rather than a special needs trust. You could use it for transportation, healthcare. You can also use it for trips. You can only sign up for CalABLE online. You cannot go into your local bank or financial institution. And to open an account, you need the date of birth, address, social security number of the people on the account, and you only need to have $25 to open the account. And there's a range of investment options similar to our investment options. So what's really nice is that the ABLE accounts and the special needs trust can work together. There's some advantages to using the ABLE account to pay for rent. They don't take any of that ISM deduction that I talked about earlier. Beneficiaries who are not conserved will have a lot more direct access to their ABLE funds because they don't have to get trustee approval. So what people are suggesting is you use the ABLE account for more money in, money out, like a checking account, and then you use that special needs trust like a savings account. And like I said, you can transfer money back and forth without any penalties. So the big picture is really people are going to need 3 different accounts, a personal checking account for SSI or SSDI payments and work earnings if they're on the lower side, and then a CalABLE account, especially if somebody is working and earning more than the minimum allowed, which is around $1,500 a month, and then a third-party special needs trust for those larger gifts and inheritances. And here's the contact information, and I'll take some questions.
All right. Is there a limit to the amount of the Medi-Cal payback?
No, I mean, it's whatever was spent on that person. And for example, we have older regional center clients who've passed away, and the Medi-Cal claim has been over $1 million because that person received a lot of in-home services a lot of their regional center services were paid by something called a Medicaid waiver. The thing is, with a special needs trust, we just pay off the state with whatever money is left in the trust, even if it's not at $1 million. And the state says, okay, we're fine, we're good to go.
If someone is receiving spousal support and it is directly placed in a special needs trust, is it considered unearned income for SSI?
Spousal income would definitely be unearned income. I'm not positive about that. I'd have to check with a family law attorney. So I don't want to give a definitive answer to that one.
Is there any effective recourse available if the trustee refuses to communicate with the parent of the subject of the special needs trust? I consulted a lawyer who said that it would be difficult to prove wrongdoing on the part of the trustee.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take them to court. You'd have to sue them.
Evelyn, I'm not sure what this question is. Whole or full trust?
I think she means pooled.
Maybe.
Evelyn, are you there? Evelyn, you want to unmute and ask your question? Oh, Evelyn. Okay.
Is the trustee of a pooled trust the same as a professional fiduciary, or is that something different?
Yes. So, both myself and our designated trustee, Ron Parks, we are both licensed fiduciaries in the state of California. So that is the same as being a professional fiduciary.
I don't think that, I mean, they're not the same thing technically. Like at our organization, they are, right? But you can have a trustee who's not a professional fiduciary, like a family trustee, and you can have a professional fiduciary who's not a trustee.
Right.
Okay.
But I think that I thought this was specific though to pooled trust.
Yeah, I guess that's true. The trustee of a pooled trust would almost always be a professional fiduciary. Are there any cases where that wouldn't be true?
Most of the pooled trust I know, the designated trustee is either a lawyer, who by definition can be a professional trustee, or a licensed professional fiduciary.
Okay. Do we have attorneys who update revocable family trusts also?
We have a list of attorneys, but we are not a law firm, so we do not update. We do not update family or revocable trust. You have to do that with a member of the private bar.
What happens to a CalABLE account when the beneficiary dies and there's money in the account?
So the state of California has really limited the payback. Most people will not have, most estates will not have to pay back from a CalABLE account.
Does a beneficiary need to live in California to use JLA pooled funds?
Yes. We are requiring that at the time of enrollment, the beneficiary live in the state of California, because that's what it says in our master trust.
At the time of enrollment, they have to live in California, but if they move somewhere else.
Yeah, we have had beneficiaries move to other states. But I just understand, when you move to another state, you're going to be under that state Medicaid office. And other states can be very different than California.
Yeah. Earned income that is put into a special needs trust is taxable earning for the trust or the beneficiary?
Earned income that is put into I think it is still taxable. Yes, I think it is still taxable.
With a pooled trust, does the beneficiary need to hire a CPA to handle the taxes?
Most of our clients are, the amount of money they're going to make from any capital gains from their investment income is going to be substantially less than the standard deduction. that we have some clients who might be getting capital gains that exceed the standard deduction. If that is the case, then they will need to hire a CPA, and the trust funds can be used to pay for that. There's also some free tax preparation services available through the VITA program, VITA, and we let people know about where they can go to get that VITA tax assistance.
In other states, where should we look to find attorneys? I don't know that I mean, we don't have a list of special needs attorneys.
No, there is a website, I think it's Special Needs Alliance, that has I'm going to try to, oops. I think it's called Special Needs Alliance, where you can find attorneys that specialize in this area. Yeah, Special Needs Alliance. Here, I'll put it in the chat. That's the National Alliance of Attorneys for Special Needs Planning.
I believe that that website also has the answer for the next question, which is there an equivalent organization to JLA in Arizona?
Yeah, I think it's even called Secured Horizons.
But that Special Needs Alliance has all pooled trusts around the country by state, I believe.
Yeah. So there are pool trusts in every state. And I wish we could go out of state, but we've got enough people and issues in our own state of California.
So you need a lawyer to keep up with the changing laws pertaining to special needs trusts.
Not necessarily a lawyer. You can also, there's some professional advocates you could also hire. Like I said, there are some family members who are able to do it, but it can turn into a bigger job than first thought.
And we are not lawyers. JLA is not lawyers, and we are pretty up on the laws regarding special needs trusts in California.
Right.
You are. So you, as a law firm, as a trust firm, you keep up with the laws, and so you also do investment for the trust.
Right, but we hire out though for the investment piece. That is what we give to TrueLink. So
what you do for the trust?
We're doing all the functions of the trustee, which is all the financial oversight about how funds are distributed.
So you're the professional fiduciary trustee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. This is so coming at me like.
It's complicated. Our staff works with the person every day. So we're the people they call when they need to buy a new computer, or their cat needs to go to the vet or whatever. It's like, oh, I need an extra amount of money. Yeah. And we oversee their purchases. Some clients are very independent and really most of their purchases are legitimate, and some you kind of have to rein in their spending, and that is the legal responsibility of a trustee of a trust.
Okay, so it's managing the outgoing of the funds, and you're also accepting any of the contributions that are made on a yearly basis.
Right.
You're investing the money. You're with a contracted firm.
And we do investment reviews. Our board of directors has an investment committee. In fact, we just sat down on Monday to go over the first quarter returns and how they, came in. So we oversee the investment team as well.
So then, the last piece is it necessary to have a tax attorney look at this? No. You just need an attorney who would keep up with the changing laws and making sure that and you said you do that to some extent?
Well, we do that to a big extent. I mean,
Okay.
we attend national conferences. I'm part of webinars all the time, with keeping up. Now, most trust and estate attorneys are not keeping up with benefits that much. There's a subset of attorneys known as elder law attorneys. Those elder law attorneys do an amazing job keeping up with benefits. Other than those elder law attorneys and some of those special needs attorneys that are part of that Special Needs Alliance, most trust and attorneys don't know very much about government benefits. And that's because most trust attorneys are set up to work with high net asset families. Basically, most trust attorneys are working with wealthier families. So they don't really know much about basic programs that are designed to take people out of poverty. It's really a whole different wheelhouse. Joy, you're muted.
Who do you go to stay current with everything?
It's so late. You need to get your gear.
Okay. Joy, what we should, I'm happy to talk
I'll call
offline.
you personally.
Yeah, happy to talk to you offline. But yeah, we attend national and statewide conferences. Evelyn asked about, are your services similar to proxy parent? Yes, except we don't have staff. We don't have in-house staff to provide the ongoing day-to-day case management and support. So for our clients who need that, we contract out with various individuals. So we recognize that a lot of our clients would benefit from private case management or having like a coach or having kind of someone coming over, whether it's 3 times a week or once a week or once a month. So if clients need those services, we contract out with companies like, or agencies like Jewish Family Service Cares. It used to be called Live Home. It's now AROSA. And we
really fast, okay?
Karen, please mute yourself. We also use the care managers that are part of the Aging and Life Care, ALCA it's called, which is a separate trade group. So we do have a way of contracting out for those services, but we don't have the in-house support the way Proxy Parent does.
Do we have CPAs that we work with that do trust taxes?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, most of our clients don't even need to file taxes because their capital gains are less than the standard deduction. I know MG Gentry has her hand up.
That was from her.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you want to expand on that question. And the next one was also from MJ, which is, are the terms of JLA pooled trust considered a qualified disability trust for tax purposes?
Yes.
Sorry, is that the reason Michelle, you're saying they're not making enough? Because there's a standard deduction if you're a qualified disability trust, right?
I'm saying that because most of our clients, their only source of income is SSI or SSDI.
Okay.
And so that's their only source of income. And all of their assets are in the special needs trust. So if the capital gains from their special needs trust are less than the standard deduction, they don't need to file taxes.
Gotcha. Okay. So is your pooled, and your pooled trust, if someone currently has a special needs trust and they go to a pooled trust, do you suspend the special needs trust in favor of the pooled trust?
No, we can't suspend. You have,
Or
it's complicated. There's something
get
called,
rid of it?
well, there's a process now legally known as decanting, like a fine wine. You would have to see the terms of the original trust, might have to go through a decanting process in order to make that switch.
Okay. Thank you.
Does a beneficiary need a doctor's letter to verify a diagnosis of disability, or can hospital medical records be sufficient to determine diagnosis of bipolar at age 21, which was determined at age 28 to establish disability?
No, any kind of medical record that mentions the disability is probably going to be sufficient. Because again, most of our clients come to us, they're already receiving SSI or SSDI. So the federal government has already vetted them. So we don't need to do that much vetting typically.
Are you saying the individual account holder of the pooled trust does not need to file a special needs trust income tax returns under its own tax ID number?
Yes.
Um,
Typically, we're using the person's social security number, not a tax ID number. So it gets very complicated. Our pool trusts have their own EIN numbers, but the sub-accounts are typically identified by the beneficiary's social security number.
Do we have any additional questions?
Yes, wait, I'm writing it.
So the best way to reach me is by email.
By the way, if you're interested specifically in CalABLE accounts, we do have another presentation next month on June 3rd, where we're having, I'm not sure exactly which staff member, but somebody from their office, the CalABLE office, is going to do an in-depth presentation on how CalABLE works. So join us if you'd like to learn more about that. I will include a link to that also. So I'll send you guys the slides. I will send you guys the recording, and I will send you a link to that presentation.
Yeah, and CalABLE is under new management from their day-to-day financial management, and they've also switched over, by the way, to the TrueLink card for disbursements. So it's a lot more restricted than our card, but they do use the same card. So I know there were some issues with people. It was easy to deposit money into the CalABLE accounts, but it was tricky in some cases to withdraw the money. So we're hoping that the use of the TrueLink card is going to make that an easier process.
Because it was a 2-hour meeting. I just want to give you some updated data.
So are you better off starting the pooled trust if you haven't started the trust process? My late second husband left my son money in a trust bank account, but the trust hasn't been written up or created yet.
Yeah, probably because it's going to be quicker and cheaper. Yeah.
If
So
the amount,
probably. I'm sorry?
if the amount is $1 million, am I better off with the pooled trust?
We're happy to take $1 million. Joy, well, I think we should talk one-on-one. All right?
All right. I have no information on you, your phone number, your any way, email, any way to get a hold of you.
Okay, I just posted it in chat, and Alexandra's going to follow up. Alexandra, you have Joy's email, right?
I do, but also in general, when I send out that email I just mentioned tomorrow, like I usually do include your email in case anybody else wants to reach out to Michelle. But yeah, if you signed up through our Humanitics, which I assume everybody here did, I have your email address and you will get that. And
I don't know where I signed up through.
I mean, you got here,
mess.
so I would assume it was through Humanitics. But if not, Michelle just put JLA, that's our website, jlatrust.org,
Yeah,
and it has all our contact information on it.
We have a really robust and amazing website done by Alexandra, also now fully translated into Spanish. If any of you would prefer the materials in Spanish or want to share with a Spanish-speaking friend or colleague, please take a look. So under Learn, we have some really good explanations about why a trust. We have some videos from some of our parents and beneficiaries that explains exactly how it works, how money goes in, how money goes out. and encourage you to take a look at our website. All righty, I think we're pretty good.
We did
And
have
the website,
one,
the name of the website will be on the paperwork you send tomorrow?
yes.
Okay,
But it's also in chat. It's at jlatrust.org.
okay.
We had one last question, which is, can you switch funds to a different trust later on?
I don't understand the question.
I think it just means if you change your mind about the trustee or, I don't know.
So so remember, these special needs trusts are irrevocable. Once the money is in there, the money stays there. If you hate your trustee, you can ask the trustee to resign, and that trustee can name a successor trustee. But it's not that simple of a process. There's a process that goes with it.
So the question is, I guess, if you start with a pooled trust and want to switch to a different type of special needs trust.
No, that is not easy to do. That is not easy to do. If you're not sure what kind of trust you want, you should talk to a trust and estate attorney who specializes in this field. Some of it may also depend on your own finances. So if it's more complicated finances, in terms of owning different pieces of property and owning parts of businesses or parts of partnerships, you're probably going to need a standalone trust. If it's more straightforward assets, whether those are from a brokerage account, an IRA account, the sale of a home, if it's straight assets that can be liquidated and put into the pool trust may be the easier way to go. But the pool trust is not going to be for everybody. I think for like I said, for most middle and upper middle class families, the pool trust is going to be the more affordable, quicker way to set up a special needs trust. But there may be some of you here for whom it doesn't make sense, and you need to go with a standalone trust.
If a beneficiary in California moves to Arizona, will California's contribution to SSI be picked up by Arizona?
No. In order to get that California supplement, you have to live in the state of California. When you move to Arizona, you go back just to the federal amount.
We already answered this question. There is a list on specialneedsalliance.com of the skilled lawyers outside of California. The truth is we're not, since our practice area is California, we're not as connected outside of California. We don't know all of the skilled lawyers all over the country.
I'm not able to make any kind of personal referral for lawyers outside the state of California.
But that website, specialneedsalliance.org, is a really good place to start.
Okay.
If you can't get the money out without the beneficiary still alive, should you see how much you should take out over the length of the person's life?
I don't understand the question. Joy, we're going to have to talk one-on-one.
Okay.
I got to run and see my own son with special needs. It was great to see all of you today.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very informative. Thank you so much.